Hi, this is a guy in Den. I wanted to make a video where I showcase the different units, showcase some of the how they fit in. You know how everything is kind of sort of like rock, paper, scissors. How they fit into tactically in kind of a system like that. You have the heavy clobber, but he's vulnerable to support unit, and then of course you have the tank, right? So simple features like that exist in pretty much any game. At least any game worth its salt, that you have some kind of trade-off. Kind of like an artillery unit, which is vulnerable to light skirmishing unit, which is vulnerable to a heavy big unit, which is vulnerable to artillery unit, etc. So they all fit together in that kind of mold. And that's true with As We Descend or any other tactical game. The only difference here, you have the randomness of what unit you might get and what assortment of cards. So you don't really have full control of all the tactical options, but when they are there in front of you, the choices all depends on that dynamic. So I had recorded a bunch of videos, and then the dev said that in a week time or so, they will release a major update that's going to add more content, but also rework some of the units. I would assume it has to do with fleshing out a little bit more, so there's a difference between the units, as opposed to some are so similar and some are so good that people are just picking and choosing the best units, and that's it. Now, I am afraid, a little bit worried, that they are going to nerf the ones that are appropriate for their role. And then, so many times as that happens, the all became the same. With tiny differences, they're all the same, equally vulnerable and whatnot. They become too generic. It's always good to have a unit that is specialized in one role. If you look, for example, at the different units right now, they are similar in some ways, but very different in others. And that is kind of sort of what I wanted to highlight. But instead, I'm just going to go through a couple of scenarios here and just showcase the Votive, and then, of course, the Guild a little bit later on. Just what you have right now and how they fit in, and talk a little bit about and how they fit in. And it's just going to be a big overview. And then when they redo or add or kind of fine tune it, I will go in and be a little bit more on one couple of specific units and flesh them out a little bit better. So that's pretty much what I'm going to do here, just to give everybody a good idea what each unit can do as much as possible. And we are going to start with a larger one, which is the Votive. I'm just adding everything back because there's some units that I don't use, period. Not because they're bad, but they're not really good in what works with me. We are going to talk about Vanguard, which is the first unit you come in contact with when you play the Votive. And Votive is based on command. Oh, that is so tempting. Oh, I did it. Amazing. Let's start with a perk for the Votive. The other ones are kind of like you get some buffs when you move around, but in all honesty, you just move into the guard section with something like that. But anywho, so let's talk about the Vanguard. You're just going to go through a little bit battle first. Well, let's showcase it first. Here we go. So the Vanguard starts with one particular perk, which is this one. Now, Votive works a little bit different from Guild. So in Vanguard, or in Votive, you have commands. And it's a use it or lose it kind of mentality. If you don't use up all of them, you get a fresh bunch depending on how many units you have in the next one. So you want to use them up as much as possible. But on the other hand, if you reserve or you dispose of specific cards, you get one back. That's different from how Votive works compared to how Flow works. So, or the guild works. And I will showcase that. So that one was just added, which means that if this one starts in the support zone, cards, the next card costs one less. It's not as useful because you're gonna leave the support zone, but it's something like that. It's gonna be in the guard zone. There's two zones, support and guard. And depending on what kind of unit you face, some might just attack the guard zone, some might just attack the support zone. But this is a general setup of your Vanguard. Lounge, which allows you to attack and move up to the guard zone. Fleet, defend, which adds a temporary armor. This is gonna change per the notes. Is that they are gonna make fleeting, which is just temporarily for that turn. They're gonna make it more of a decaying kind of thing. And that's true with a lot of the other ones too. So the permanent one are kind of just good for a couple of cards or a couple of turns. So now it looks like they want to make all of that, like the temporary stuff, they want to make that decay. So if it adds 2, then the next turn it's 1. I think that makes sense. I think that's a good idea instead of having that effect of everything drops off, especially if you add enough armor, it should last for a little bit. And then you have the breaching slash, which you see is more damage compared to the lounge, lounge. And it also adds exerted, which means you can't follow up with an auto attack if you're in the guard zone. There are some machinery and there are some other things that benefits you when exerted. No need to go in on that because that might change too. But that's what you do. You probably do all the other main attacks first, and then you do this one. Now they have a number of other cards, and maybe we'll pull some of them. It's not as important since things are gonna change, but most of the other cards are either moving cards or other versions of lounge, and a slashing one that hits everything in the front row. So if there's 4 units in the front row, it's going to hit all of them. And those are always good because that means you distribute the same amount of money, same amount of attack to all of them. So that's briefly about Vanguard. Again, that will most likely be adjusted. And these ones are nasty little wormies. They will go underground and have a lot of armor when they do. So here we are. First battle. As you see, because I have that skill, now these are cheaper. So if you then have a really expensive attack, and I don't know if the Vanguard have really expensive attacks, but that would be an ideal on something like a knight that have a number of expensive attacks. That as long as it is in the secondary back row, it can just keep on attacking from the back row and have a cheaper attack. That would work, for example, with the diving suit that has a lot of expensive attacks, although it has one that can move it up front and add a little bit of a barrier. So you have these command, they refill every turn. It's a use it or lose it. And you get a number of them depending on how many troops you have, and then also you can draw cards that add more of them. Then you have favor. Favor is an ever diminishing currency. I don't think there are any cards that add favor, but there is a support unit called a Bell Maiden that lowers the cost of it. So that is an extremely important support person. I hope they don't mess with that one because it's very unique in its role, And plus, it's not overpowered. It doesn't have massive, humongous attack cards. It has some that are decent, but nothing more special than anyone else. The Navigator, for example, have this phenomenal empowering attacks. But that's really what it does. It specializes on that. Look at it like a sorcerer nuker from something like Dungeons and Dragons compared to more like a wizard or supportive artificer like in Dungeons and Dragons. If you ever played that one. But here we are. That's the Vanguard. It has a number of lounge here. Now, I could use the Breaching Slash, but then I get exerted. So if I fight from the back line, then the first one's going to be 0. The second one should be 1 because I'm exerted. But then I exert myself twice. So that's twice in a row. Everything is going to cost double because once you're exerted, using anything else costs more. So it's not really worth it. So what we want to do is just get up there, smack him in the face, smack him in the face again. There we go. And for good measures, maybe just do that. There we go. And there we go. Now, I can't use this one because, again, I am exerted, which means I can't use it, but I have 1 point left. So now I'm going to try to draw something that just costs 1 point, which would be a lantern card, right? So let's go ahead and recycle that one. This is called Runic Recycler, which gives me that one, but that costs a favor. And at this stage, I don't want to waste favor. Nope. One more chance. Oh, a light barrier. So that's better. Now I'm not going to take any damage. These barriers decay half as much each time. So I'm going to take 5 in damage, and then it's going to decay down to whatever is left in half. There is the diving suit that has a perk that allows it to keep that from decaying. So that's good. And one of the reasons why the diving suit is really tanky, but it's mild damage and very expensive attacks. So there we go. These are now the options that I have. As you see, not really that many attacks. But I'm going to do the Watchtower. The Watchtower Lantern card that adds 6 in barrier and also attacks. So the Lantern card can now attack. Now, in this system, you have what's called empowering. So you have this empower card. That's different from the guild system that uses flow. And that empowers some of the features, like your perks. So if I want to do that, it's going to cost me now 1 favor. And it adds more stagger. Stagger is what makes them to eventually show their weak points and they can't do anything. For this first battle, I don't think I'm going to waste my few points that I have on that, but I can just do this. There we go. Let's build that up a little bit. That's gonna decay halfway. Okay, so I'm gonna use the launch again. Ah yes, 99 the damage. That's why can't really do it. This one adds a lot of stagger, so even though I don't do as much damage, it staggers it. And now it's exposed. I can't auto attack because I am exerted, but now I can. So I want to add that to add a little bit extra help from the lantern, although I'm probably going to be able to do this. Now anyone that is exposing their weak points takes 1.5 times the damage, so whatever the card times 1.5. Simple stuff, right? So there you go. The first battle with this particular unit. So you're going to add a little bit of power to the shield. This is extra shield that will help you save you once you start fighting the big bosses. And now we're going to get an extra normal, non-legendary, non-rare unit. So, Vanguard. We're going to check these out now. So Vanguard is a unit that uses Spear. It has a couple of interesting attacks, but it adds Rupture. So there's another unit called the Zealot, and that one do a lot of more Rupture damage. And more in your face, attack from the back row. Is a skirmishing unit. This one has, it's kind of like a Vanguard from the back, okay? It can throw the spear to the front and add Rupture damage. It has the Empower, which gives it armor. So you can have as many empowerments as you have unit in the squad. You can there are some things that can increase those unit. That increases hit points, but it also increases the amount of times you can empower it. So in this case, 3 times. So that means it's gonna get 3 in armor, which is pretty decent. That's a decent amount of armor. And as you can see, this one starts out with 3 or 2 spear throwings, 1 puncture, and then moving repositioning. For if you have a Vanguard already or any other of the more heavy hitters like a Knight, then having the Vanguard in the back makes sense, although it gets an auto attack, right? But in this case, throwing spears from the back line is pretty cool. This one also applies bloodletting in the guard. So if you have this one in front, you also get bloodletting. So that's kind of feature of it being there. So obviously you can throw spears from the front. That's not going to stop you from doing that. If you want to be up there, pump up the armor as much as possible and just be a frontliner. In reality, it's probably a better frontliner than the Vanguard, but Vanguard is much better staggering. This one also ignores armor, and that is a super good attack. So if you have a couple of these, that makes sense. Not only do you get bloodletting, which increases the rupture apply, and rupture is one of those staggering bleed kind of damage, like a dot. And the stagger is, it's mild damage, as you can see, not that special. And then, of course, you have the Arbalest. Arbalest exists in several different variants that has slightly different cards. This one has the Giant Slayer, but you also have one that can hit vulnerable points without first stagger them. And then one that shoots multiple arrows. This one is a little bit different because if you have that in the front line, it adds multiple more attacks. It starts with 1-4 attack, 4 in strength, and then if it's in the front line, then it fires twice. And then of course you had the quick shot that adds a couple of weaker 2 hits. It starts with empowered arbalist to increase the number of hits for its auto attack. So when it's empowered, you're gonna see that it increases the amount of hits. In this case, you can empower it 4 times, so that's 4 times 4. In the front line, it would be 5 times 4. Yeah. It is okay as a support unit, but as you can understand, there's probably better support units for what they do and for the kind of damage they can do. Fixation is something that there is a lot of other synergy with cards and machinery that adds rupture damage if they fixated. So it's one of those things you can give it a decent hit, and then you add a fixation, and then there are other units or cards that can add rupture damage with it. Inflict 7 staggers, move to support zone. Okay, so this would be that if you move it first in the front zone, you fire, and then it moves back in a support zone where you're a little bit safer. So that's also some kind of strategy you can do. And then we have the Navigator. Off this, the Navigator is very similar to, as I mentioned before, more like a sorcerer nuker, in that it has a couple of attacks that are really powerful. A little bit more expensive, but once you power it up, it gets really, really good. As you can see here, empower the navigator and improve the bonuses effects of the card. There's 3 of them, so you can empower it 3 times. Now, what's the benefit of that? Well, if you look right here, once it's empowered, it gets stagger for every one of the empowerment cards. And that is pretty tremendous. This one can do a decent amount of damage, even more so when it's upgraded the card itself. You empower this one, it's going to easily be able to stagger down units very quickly. This one is an empowerment card. You have to empower it first with a card. Then this one becomes an empower card. It just adds more to it. So it's a cheap way because most empowering cards you will find also has a cost of favor. There are some lantern cards that have no cost of favor. There are some lantern cards that adds more empowerment but still cost favor. So it's a system of give and take. And that's why the Bell Maiden is so important, because it's one of those units that lowers the favor cost, so you're allowed to do better stuff. Now, there's also one really good card that empowers the unit 4. It adds a 4 empowerment with just 1 card. Brutal. And I do believe that it cost 2 to use it first, and then upgrade it cost 1. So that 1 command to use, it adds 4 empowerments. So none of this. First, you have to use an empowerment card. The card itself works as an empowerment card straight off the bat. And then, of course, Feeble. Feeble lowers the damage with the same amount of the enemy that just throw it on. And as you see, you can empower that to add a lot of stagger stuff with a Feeble. Very good. There are also others that are across the board that hits everyone in the front row. That I think is called a Psionic Blast. So this one is a cross between nuking and some of those support features that lowers incoming damage. It's very good, and you will probably use it for a while once you choose this one. Unlike the Vanguard, once you have a good, decent backup front melee, you're probably not going to use the same thing with Arbalist. It's always going to be a slightly better unit. Dauntless, I haven't played around with a tremendous amount. I like the idea of the Dauntless. It's just one of those things that, do I choose a better backline hitter than the Dauntless, or play around with it? So, once they have made some readjustment, I will see if that's actually worth doing. And then, of course, I will showcase it as much as I can so you get a better understanding the kind of how better the cards can be and how it can do in the long run. So in this case, we're choosing the navigator so we can showcase that. We want to get to the more advanced units so I can showcase a few of those without going necessarily deep into everything. Yeah, the navigator is beast. It is really, really, really good. And here we go. We are going to empower this guy right off the bat. It's going to cost us 1 favor, but let's just see, 0 command cost for using it. And we want to start out with moving this guy up. So let's start with a free defend. And then go for that. Now he's exerted, so there's nothing I can do with him. Actually, I'm gonna spend. Most of the time you get about 2 points. So I'm gonna get that back, hopefully, by finishing this one. And they're not attacking now yet. They don't have an attack symbol. So now he's empowered a little bit. So we're gonna smack away with this one. Nice. So he's staggered, won't do anything. And then finally, we're just gonna add. It's gonna decay down to 2, but whatever. It's a lose it, snooze it or lose it, or use it or lose it. So we wanna enfeeble this guy first. That's gonna lower down the damage to twice, one time. I should have just empowered him first. Oh, whatever. That's a freebie. And then we're gonna use that one so he can get into action and do a hit too. He can only take 2 down. So not to worry. And he got smacked good. We want to get rid of these, because they just increase damage on you. We're going to empower him again. We are going to launch on that dude. Yeah, he's down. Yeah, let's just smack him. The other guy is not coming in yet. Okay. So we are gonna do that. That staggers him a little bit. We're gonna do this. And then we're gonna channel him some more. Just love that channeling. The more you channel, the heavier the hit goes. Both are attacking. Okay. We are gonna atomic disrupt this one. That's 2 attacks of 4. And then we smacking that guy down. So that's 2 plus 9. Ah, we don't want him to take any damage. It'll be a little bit chicken here. Okay, so are we gonna riptide him? Yeah, let's do it. I'm gonna have to take a hit here now. There we go, gone. And let's just finish this one off so we can showcase a rare unit. So, here's a cool one that applies a barrier and empowers you but cost favor. With the Bell Maiden, that would be less. This one is also good. That's 20 stagger, no damage, but it staggers them really quickly. Now, I like this one because that one adds more points based on how many units you have. So we get a card. And here you see another atomic disruptor. You have future sight, which allow you, if draws an additional card as an auto action, which is nice. That's really nice. You can cycle through a bunch of cards that way. Just need to be empowered. This one adds 3 damage. And if you're in the guard support zone when you use it, then you also get fleeting attacks. So that's pretty good. And that's to all friendlies on top of that. So if you have other attack, like the Arbalest or the Zealot or say the Knight, that will help them as well. Feeble is good to use. Mini boss time. The first one is free. So I want to definitely get that guy up and running. Gonna boost him up. I'm gonna feeble that guy. I'm gonna get some more points. I definitely want to do that. I'm thinking, do I really want to go up yet? No, I don't, because he can only attack that zone first. The sword means he can attack both zones. That means he can only attack that. There's also one that looks like a lobby symbol that can attack the back row. If I go up here, since I only have 1 light barrier, I don't have to take any damage. I don't have any way to feebling him right now. Dash means I get brought up. So we want to use that one. And I'm just going to do this. I gotta be a little bit turd and just sit in the back end here while he wastes his attack. That's right. You wasted it. You wasted it, my friend. And now that one can attack both here now, so I definitely want to move him up. But can I move him up? I can't. Ooh. Did I do a boo-boo or what? I did. Let's see if we can rip-tie him a little bit. And then see if we can... There we go. All good and proper. Don't need to... I'm gonna empower that guy. That's worth a point. Save that one for later. Okay. Save that one for later. There we go. Okay, now I can go up here. I want to aim for that. Got that one. So there are some points for less hit points. Like this one, stun for extra turn, prevent additional pheromones. And this one is allows this monstrosity to perform a cleaving intent. So I remove his cleaving option. There we go. That's a lot of light barriers, and they all will decay. But I'm gonna use them. Now let's see if I can just get an attack here. Nope. That's a big attack. No. Give me a cheap attack. Okay, there we go. And he can't do the cleave attack. Boop. Let's go ahead and use that one. Let's feeble him. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's rip-tie him. Bam. He's probably gonna get up now. Probably mad as a hatter. One, to get rid of those pheromones before they hurt you. Okay. Atomic Disruptor. For sure. Not sure if I can take him down, so we're gonna do a light barrier since he can only do one hit. And he gets to shoot 2. We're gonna channel some more. And I can auto attack him. Lounge attack. Dash attack. Oh, come on, man. Rip that. Bam. I'm gonna have to take a hit here now. I was hoping to get him down enough. You are one persistent mother. So that I'm gonna just heal him up anyway. Draft a new combat card. This is an interesting one. Apply fixation to an enemy. That's what I was talking about, how fixation can have other effects too. And then if you're with other people, apply fleeting staggers to all friendlies. Now that's a temporary bonus for 1 turn. Interesting since it's pretty much free. Break open. That one is a little bit better. You have to have some formation guys with you. But it does armor break, so it lowers their armor while dealing more damage, but it's also kind of expensive. Fluid Mind is interesting. Once it's empowered, it gives you more of that stockpile to throw into, and you can draw new cards. I like Fluid Mind. It's cheap. Let's talk about rare units. I have a choice of one good, the Zealot, the Commander decent, Bombardier not fan. So let's look at the Bombardier. It is like it sounds. It is a 2 unit. It has, when it is empowered, it causes auto attack to deal splash damage with equal to 50% of attack power. So the first main hit hits them, and then everything else in that row gets splashed for half. It's just not bad. I'm not saying that. It's just that it's so tiny and so situational that I never got good use for it, unfortunately. And that's also an auto attack, so you don't have a choice. It will attack whatever it feels like it's attacked unless it's fixated. And yeah, That's one of the use for fixation, I guess. Fleeting attack, same thing. You load up the cannon, it gets more attack value, 4 right now. So 8 is not bad. Then you have fully loaded, gain rapid flurry 1 and trigger an extra bombardier auto attack, then gain exerted 1. So it costs a lot. You shoot a couple of times and then you get exerted. So that means you're not going to have the auto attack. Signal shot deals 6 damage and you get this one, the lockstep. Lockstep is a way to move your guys around. So if you're desperate to be able to move someone back because they're about to get hit in the face, then using this allows you to do it. There are a couple of other things too that add a little bit more heavier damage. But again, it's so situational that I haven't really used it much, but I certainly want to showcase it. Then we have the commander. Commander can be in the front line and be a hitter, but his real benefit is that he can benefit everyone else in a zone or things of that nature. So in this case, for example, apply fleeting attack 3 to all units in guard zone. So if he's on the back line, or even if it's in the front line, and he's in the front line with someone else, like a knight, then he gives them some attack. Tactical move. Initiative switch a unit zone. Draw 1. So this is kind of a cheap way of moving someone and at the same time getting more cards. And then the next card you play turns costs 0. This one extremely good. And that's why it's kind of more of a support unit. So if you have a really saucy attack, so for example, Lantern have an attack that costs 4, then you can essentially make that cost 0. That can be a really devastating attack for no cost at all. There are also Knight's card and other cards that cost 3. Those can be very devastating hits, but of course it takes a lot of command points. So you being able to use the readiness card first and then go out and do that, 0 cost to you, and it's just a nice little smack in the face. Now, you can combine that also with other things like a marked. So a card that has marked on it allows you to hit weak spots on the enemy without them first being staggered. So you start marking them first, and then you do the readiness. And then the next card you do, the heavy hit, is going to be 1.5 in damage. Now, there are some special cards, like, for example, the more tanky diving suit that has an attack that, in addition, when it hits the special vulnerable points, it makes an additional 2.5 in damage that can be upgraded to 3. So if you think about that, that's the damage of that one first 2.5 times, and then 1.5 times for hitting a vulnerable spot, or maybe it's just not cumulative like that. But regardless, you can now make that a free attack on a spot, vulnerable spot, and hit for a truck ton of damage, which is ideal against these special bosses specifically. Now, that's just front row, of course. So, it's one of those things. And then finally, we have the Zealot. I love the Zealot. And this one has the mark for death. The Zealot is one that adds rupture. So once you empower that dude, and let's just take a look at what the commander has in empowerment. So the empowerment of that one is empower the commander, gain additional each turn. So that's pretty nice. You get 1 point each turn extra. So having him, he's an okay fighter, and because it's 5 damage for one dude, it's not bad. But his really value is in how he can boost other troops. Now for the Zealot, that's one that adds rupture and also fixation. So again, if they're fixation, sorry. So as long as they have fixation, they also add rupture. So that's why it's good to have fixation cards. And as you can see, a lot of these guys have fixation. So if it's bleeding, you hit 3 times. So once you start rupturing the dude, then you can then start hacking and slashing, and there's many other attacks that do that. And then you have an attack called Sanguinate. You pretty much just explodes them 2 times, I think, is the damage of how much rupture they have. So if you have stacked up, say, 10 rupture, 2 times, they're going to take 20 in damage all of a sudden. And upgraded 3 times. And if you hit the weak spot doing that, yeah, yeah. I have blooded a few mini bosses that way. Mark for Death is just awesome. Upgraded, it works for 2 turns. So you are essentially being able to hack and slash their weak spots, and they will go down very quickly that way. But has no armor. It's kind of on the weak side. It's not really a frontline guy, even though you certainly can. It has attacks that moves it up to the guard position. Its great value is in the back row attacking. That's really why you want it. Now, I didn't show the Bell Maiden here, but hopefully once we hit the boss, we're going to be able to get the Bell Maiden. Let's just do a simpler battle. Harder battles are more rewarding in the case you're looking for stuff. He's gonna hit the back line, so it's one of those things that you want to get rid of. I could not empower him yet, but I could still do damage with him. Yeah, we don't want to waste that one. Yep. Okay. So we need to get him down, and I don't have any... You can enfeeble him. There we go. That's less of a damage. That means I can just put the light barrier on that guy. But I really want to get a hit in on that guy. Atomic Disruptor again. It is so silly. Oh my lord. Well, at least I can power him. Let's Atomic Disrupt him again. Yeah. Oh, I wasted all that. I should just done that first. Okay, didn't work out like I wanted. Okay, we want to empower that guy too. He's gonna get smacked. He's gonna get smacked. Didn't work out like I wanted to. So we're gonna need more of that. He's fixated. Yeah, see how quickly that adds up. He's gonna take a lot of damage. He's gonna get hit too, unfortunately. Yeah, I didn't want to start taking damage this early, especially when I have a big boss battle coming up. Okay, so that happened. He's waiting. So we're gonna get that one down. No damage. More points. He can take that hit. Keep working on that guy. Couldn't stagger him yet. Oh, they rendered me. So now I'm gonna start taking armor damage. How annoying. I don't want to take that much damage. But I have no choice. Yeah. Not cool. Not cool. Let's use that one. So, I'm gonna feeble him. And then let's see if I cannot, before he armors up. Oh, I can only use it there. He's gone. And then hack and slash that dude so he goes down. That was so unnecessary. Take no chances. Let's see if we can get him down. Yeah, we did. Okay. That was less than stellar. I didn't get a good... And that's one of those things. So, that exerts you. That's just 2, but it's like a free little barrier. Power Lantern. Yeah, that one is actually pretty good. He's a little bit more on the stubby side, so I don't want to waste. That's a freebie. He's going to now help, so that's good. I'm just going to use all that, and I'm going to empower that guy at 1 point. And then, I'm going to dash up on him, because he wants to take our barrier down. Aha! Bustage. Exerted. He goes to the front line. And you are gonna get the same treatment. Ha! He's gonna wake up most likely. Yep. Yeah. He's gonna try to attack my guy there. Screw you, man. Yeah. Nice try, buddy. Nice thing with the lantern damage, it adds fire damage, which is like a tick. It's just a dot that steals some of their health. Beacon of Hope. More of that. I like that. Or Pulse Cannon. Ooh, this is good choice. Pulse Cannon applies feeble once empowered. It is 8 damage, feeblement. This one moves you into guard zone and deals 8. And from the back row support zone, it adds bloodletting. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Definitely, definitely. Let's see if you can pull tech here. What do we have? Persecution. When inflict stagger, staggered enemy, apply. Oh, yeah. Oh. Whenever you inflict stagger on an already staggered enemy. Okay, so as soon as I use any stagger points, I would assume. We'll do that. There are a couple of really good ones. But it is what it is. So let's do this guy. And let's see if we can get a couple more. Nope. Failed. We have full of that. Oh yeah. I'll pay some money for that. What do I want to do? That one. Bloodletting 2. Or do I want to do anything of this? Feeble 6. Empowerment stacks times 6. Oh, that is so... Oh. That is so juicy. Stagger 2 for each empowerment stack. That is so good too. Yeah, I think I want to do that one. Enfeeblement can really, really bring down their attacks, and they can be pretty juicy, as you will see. Upgrade or upgrade? Upgrade Mark of Death or upgrade Atomic Disruption? Can I have 2? Feeble? Oh, that is... I like this. Okay, that's a good compromise. I already upgraded one. Now I'm going to have another mark. So we want to pick a specific character for that one to get a better card. Yes, yes. I'm going to do this guy. Let's hope for Sanguinate or something. Oh, that one is pretty good too. That one is pretty decent too. Gouge. Yeah, let's do that. So this guy can mark several guys. And you really want to nail it as much as possible with Feeble. He can go down pretty quickly. So now I have those 2. They have initiative. They're going to stay with me until I use them. So I want to use it on that guy. And I want to use it on that guy. Yes, it would be nice to have more stagger here. I'm not going to use that one yet. Not that one either. It's fleeting, so that will just disappear. Oh yeah, channel up. Channel up, my friend. So let's bring him up there. Oh, we start out with that. Oh, let's see if we can empower that one. No. I mean, that's empowerment too. And Fluid Mind? We're doing it. Cage Light. Oh, man. Zero cost? No brainer. There we go. Let's start with... That's a nice chunk of Feeble. Not bad. So he's only going to do 9 attack, but he's going to do some of that. Okay. So, Riptide can now do stagger. Do I have any more? Should I empower him? Yes, I should. He will attack the mark target. So he can get some of that. Definitely do that. And let's see if we cannot do a little bit more stagger on him. And I am moving this guy up. It's all or nothing. He's focusing on that guy. He's going to have to take a hit. Yeah, and it's going to take 7 in that. But, okay, he wants to attack that guy now. Here we go. So, we are going to give him that. That offsets that one with 1. Let's go ahead and hit the targeting one. Yes. We did it. Okay. Gravy time. Now they don't aim when they do the auto attack. But that's fine. So we're gonna start aiming down that one so you can't target a bunch of people. Pursuit for sure. And definitely Riptide. Oh yeah. Gown and Ruptured. Let's enhance it more. I want to use up every single favor I have. But I definitely want to take advantage of this as much as possible. Cost 1, man. Do it. Kneecap him. Okay. So I'm gonna get hit by 3 points of damage. I can take it. It heals back up once you do the end boss for each cycle. That's gone. See if we can get something better. I have 1 point to use. So, I wish I could save that one. Let's, there we go. That lowers that to 1 hit, and then hopefully when he gets up, he's... I can take a hit. Oh, he's hurting. He's down to 11. Next one will be 10, and that's across all of here. So we're gonna lower that. And he's gone. He is gone. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Sweet Jesus. 1 ally. Here we go. 3 new units that we can talk about. Bell Maiden first and foremost. That one has this one. So empower the Bell Maiden to draw 1 card after you play your first favor. So once you're empowered at, it gives you more cards. You can empower it up to twice. So that's nice. Blinding Beam is really good because it has damage and feeble, but it costs favor. When you upgrade it, it removes the cost of favor. So you can have 2 cards of Blinding Beam, both adding feeble and then adding damage with no favor cost. Perfect. This one upgraded lets you do 3 cards. So the next 3 cards that cost favor will cost 1 less favor. So really expensive cards that cost 2 favor cost 1. And in this case, it lowers all most regular ones like this one, Blinding Beam and Scurrying Light, down to 1. All enemies gets hit by this, so that means even front and back row. This is really good. Upgraded to, I do believe, 4 or 6 when you upgrade it. Very good to have. And it also have a few other ones that are kind of semi-damaging with some specialties, but really, the Blinding Beam and the Flowing Favor and the Scurrying Light are the stars in this lineup. And there are a couple other situational cards that I sort of enjoy. But Bell Maiden, lowering the cost of the first one, the first favor cost, the 0 is perfect. Because that means you can empower your navigator and others for free, the first one, and then throw the Flowing Favor, and now you can start empowering the other ones without using a lot of your favor. Favor will go down quickly. And then you have the Dive Suit. This is the best tank, but the worst DPS. In my opinion. Some people would probably say that it's good DPS because it has 1 card that it's not showing here, but I can talk about. So, as you can see, it can do dual things. It can either give a small barrier or do some damage. For running cost, 6 in damage, on par. And when you empower this one, then instead of decaying 50% on the barrier, it keeps it there. So your barrier go down really slow. So you can pile on a lot of barrier. That's why it's a good frontline unit. Because you can just keep dropping barriers on it and it won't decay as quickly. I do believe it just stays to whatever. Fleeting armor, not as good. And As you can see, it's a temporary armor for 1 point, which is on par with all the other stuff that's similar. I would get rid of this one for something better. There's one that adds 12 in barrier for everyone in the same row. So if you have 2 people in the guard zone, then they both get 12. This one is awesome. That has initiative, so it's always going to be there. That card is always going to be there. That means if you had a Bell Maiden and this dude, he can then move up for free and get 4 barrier. And he's going to be in the guard zone. Perfect scenario. This one, pressure release, that's the one I was talking about, how if you hit a weak spot, then it adds 2.5 damage instead of 1.5 damage. So I wonder if that's cumulative. I really need to look at that. That would be like tremendous amount of damage. It's only 8, but that's not really bad because now you're talking about at least, quick math, 20. So 2 times 8, 16, and then a half of that is another 4, right? 20. That's not bad. That will destroy most weak spots. And then if it's cumulative with the 1.5 damage you normally do to weak spots, then whoa, even more. I like it. This is the tankiest unit, but you can only have one. In this one you can't increase the squad size for some reason, so it will remain 1. And as you can see, it's medium damage, nothing special, but it is one of those things where you will see that a lot of the damage is very high cost. This one is 2 points, but there's tons of others that are 2 points too. Now, some of them do things like guard breaking and other things. But again, it's very high cost to use them, and the damage is generally not that high. So for the guard breaking one, you add a little bit of guard breaking, a little bit damage, and things like that. But in reality, it's all medium level, right? You're not going to find a super attack, except for the rocket. So let's say you have 20 in barrier. You build up 20 in barrier on this dude because you want him to just pile up on that stuff. There's one that has a cost of 1, and it's a barrier rocket, I think it's called. That one damages as much as you have barrier. So if you had 20 in barrier, for a cost of 1, you get 20 in damage. It's very hard to get. It's a rare card, so if you have a couple of those, and you can smack away. It doesn't lower the barrier either. It's not like it zaps the barriers and make an attack out of it. I hope they don't change it that way, because it's hard enough to build up barriers when you're in the front line getting smacked. But that's a good, decent amount of damage that you can deliver. And if you hit the weak spot on top of that, that's additional damage. And then finally, we have the Lancer. So I'm going to end with this. Lancer unit that I don't like using. And the reason for that is because it's very situational. It has a lot of load mechanics, gets thrown back into the support line. It's very specialized cards that I'm going to try to explain. It's sort of like a tanky one, similar to the Knight, but just with certain specialties. So, empower the lance to increase the base attack power of all exerted units by 50. So, that's pretty special. You have to have a lot of exerted units in order to even get any benefit of this one. And the more exertion you use, the more it costs you. So, not exerted, gain 1. Exerted, remove exerted from Lancer and draw 2. So you have to have the Lancer load in order to take advantage of exertion. This one, you gain exertion. Lots of, a decent amount of damage, decent amount of stagger. It switches zone. So if you're in the guard zone, you're gonna go to the back of the line. If you're in the back of the line, then it's gonna go in the front line. Again, you had 3 cavalry charges. It's very special. So if you want him to be a frontline dude, there are very few attacks that are going to stay him there. Then you have the stun needle, which is a pretty high cost for only 18 damage, and then 12 in stagger. But it has that if you hit the weak spot, it's 2 damage. So very weird to use. You will notice that you get a lot of the cavalry charges. It's in the front line. You need him there because he's going to be there and take the damage. And then all of a sudden he pops back. And now you are exposing everyone else for attacks. So there you go. I wanted to showcase a number of units as they are now, with somewhat a strategy that you can expect to use. And in all cases, I would always take the Bell Maiden first. It just lowers the good cost. And then the second one, if I have a choice, I will always do the dive suit. It's just a good frontline basher, taking a brunt of the damage by not really doing a lot of damage themselves because it's expensive attacks, but it's there to soak up damage. Start of each turn, apply target command to a random friendly or enemy. So target this with a card to gain. Okay, so that's cool. That one is good too. You recycle a card cost, your next card cost 1 less. So if you're into recycling cards, the energy exchange is pretty nice. Yeah, absolutely worth it. Okay, so here we are. Let's discuss the ones that I have unlocked for the final battle, so you can check them out. I'm not really super happy about the different cards that I picked out, especially for the lantern. I don't have much of defense against really big hits. There's one event that you can find where it converts it to better lantern cards or barrier cards, all of them across the board. You pay a little bit of your barrier and you get all of them converted, all the basic ones converted to a much better card. Never drew that. I certainly tried, but that didn't happen. So right now, this is composition of my lantern. I have a lot of light glint, which are initiative to start out that way, which is a good way for you to initially start powering up your things. So that's good, but as you see a bunch of light barriers, one watchtower, and then you have the cage light, which is interesting in powering up your lantern. Just one of these. I wish I had more of those. And then again, a couple of other things that adds barriers, more barriers, but I wish I had a little bit more of these big ones. Those are really the ones that adds a lot of oomph. And as far as this guy, I never pulled any perks. I this time was pretty lame because I didn't get any good perks. So this one still have the most basic. He's not very tanky, but I did get 3 ballot shots. I had this one, which is a tiny little barrier. I never got the good one. That's a 12 barrier. That's very good to get. I do have one of the impact drill. I was debating between ballast or impact drill, but I figured, you know what, if I ever get that big, massive barrier built up, then this would be an ideal guy to beat it up. Because if you can hit those, that's nice. This one applies armor break. That's good. And as you can see, basic assist damage. This one, I'm not so happy about this. There's a couple of other attacks that are a little bit better. I do have 2 flowing favors, so that's nice. Actually 3, so I wish I would gotten rid of one of them because that's a little bit too much. Many times you get it in the same hand, and that's not cumulative, I think. This one is good, but I wish I could have upgraded that to the better flavor, the 6, which is cheaper. And of course, I managed to upgrade these 2 because I think that's important. You really want to be able to use as much of the damaging and add a little bit of that feeble without having to cost the favor. I also wish I had more of that one. Now, there is a really, really nice lantern card that adds 30 in damage and 30 in stagger. It's amazing. I never pulled one of those. Pity me. I would have upgraded in Heartbeat. That's just, it goes from 2 favor to 1 favor if you do. So cost wise, you will be able to afford it real good. And it's one of those things you just nail a boss with. It will outright slam any small ones too. So not really happy with the setup here. Too many flowing favor. Um, I wish I had a little bit more of the uh, like this one, the feeble. A couple of those just to be able to bring down as much of the attack power of the enemy. This one is pretty decent setup. I wish I had another Mark of Death, but I do have 2 Blood Harvest. And that's a pretty nice setup, especially if you're smacking down a lot of tiny bosses or tiny little, trash mobs. I'm okay with this. Just wish I had a better Mark of Death. But, one is better than none, right? This one, not entirely. I managed to pull this one that I was talking about, but I never got the chance to upgrade it. So that is, it has initiative. So it will always start with, it will always start with this one. So you will always have it on your hand if you have this guy. And it costs a lot, unfortunately, but it applies foreign power right away. That's a great way of empowering your guy so he can start doing better stuff like the feeble. This one I upgraded, so it's feeble 6, and then 6 times the stagger. So you start having those popping up, then you can bring down the attack power of the boss really quick and do well. I also pulled a perk on this one that adds +4 in barrier. I think I pulled a perk on that one too. Yes, flaming gun. I have flaming weapon. So as soon as I empower, it gets burning weapon 1, but I think it goes away. So it doesn't stay that way. That's unfortunate. I wish that was the case. But having burning on a few of these attacks is a stacking dot that helps. Certainly not bad, but unfortunately never pull a really, really, really juicy one. There are better perks for sure. So that is the setup. Those are the units that I'm using. And we're going to go in and do the final battle. Let's see. Do I pull anything good? Extra cards. So we're going to see if we can actually do this. This is the final battle and the 3rd wave. That's going to be expanded in the next game, next update. So I'm going to be very interested in doing that. Now, this guy that I'm going to have to fight is the one that changes faces. It's a real, that can be, I mean, let's just see 9 to 9 in armor. You can't really damage this one. And as you can see, I did not get a good start. Not good. And I am not having a lot of command points either. I never received any of these good things that you see up in the corner that kind of increases command points for you. So right now I am a little bit screwed. I don't think this is going to be a start that I will enjoy. I don't have a good feeble either, so this guy is going to take a hit. Not the best start. Not the best start at all. So I'm going to jumpstart him. That's 2 points. Yeah, this is not going to be good. Oh, I also get... What did I get points from? Oh, I must have something up here that gives me some extra points if I use... Oh, because I use something that have a cost to it. Okay, that's better. But now I have 4 points, but I can't use it. Oh well, let's lower that a little bit. It had feeble, didn't it? It didn't remove anything? What is that? 99. It shouldn't matter. Feeble should... There's something wrong here. He should be taking... Or maybe that's just stagger damage on that one, not feeble. Ouch. This is gonna hurt so bad. Yep, there we go. And I don't have a purifier either. Okay, so he's thinking about doing something nasty, and I got myself... Oh, see? Here's the balance shot. But I don't have any... It wouldn't matter anyway. That's pretty much ruined because of the fact that it's 99 in armor. And I don't have a good complement of actually lowering that armor. There are some ways where... I don't remember exactly which character, but there is a troop that have an ability to negate the amount of armor based on how much armor they have. So technically 99, you will lower it with 99, bring it down to 0. That's pretty much the point. Okay, so instead of wasting that, let's power that one up. And let's start hitting this guy. It's just 1 point at a time. Yeah, this is not gonna work out very well for me. And I don't even have... there is a trader that offers like bandages, and those you can stack them up. They just stay with you. I mean, it's one-time use, but just keep buying them until you had a ginormous stack of bandages. There is also one of these that sets it up so any of the ones that are one-time use stays. Yeah, I wonder what that one was. But it stays in your inventory. So you use one up, instead of going into your trash pile, it stays with you until you either recycle it to the next turn. Something like that. It's pretty good. That way I healed up a guy like super much. So he wither and armor shred me, which means that if he hits me one more time, I am toast. So if he hits me now, I'm gone. Pretty much. That's it. And I only have 4 points, as you can see. I have empowered that one. I can lower that a bit. But yeah, this guy is toast. Not the best start. And the only thing I can think of is if I manage to bring him down. But I need to find something that have a massive stagger damage. It's not gonna be these guys. If I use the guild one that use electricity, there's a couple of real good cars that you can hit you with electricity like crazy. And I got down one dude that way. This is not doing it. I am gonna try to pull something better. Yeah, that's not gonna work. And that's not gonna work. Let's see if I can use this one. Let's see if I can use this one. So let's use that one to make it cheaper. Come on. Nope. My guy is dead. Oh, 2 hit points? Oh man, that is ridiculous. Can we do it? Feeble him. He's taking a pause. I'm just gonna move my guy up. This is all or nothing now. Let's enfeeble him as much as we can. Oh, I got him down. No, I don't have any way of healing that guy. I don't have a purifier, and I don't have advantages or anything, so... If he takes a hit, And plus both are withered, which is just terrible. Let's see if I can build up some of the stuff. The next phase is gonna blow over pretty quick. I don't have any big damaging things. A little bit armor breaking, it's not gonna do anything. He's gonna pop up. Yeah, see, 336. He didn't come back yet. I have one of those. Let's do the lantern. Okay. Ah, God, I wish I could have pulled something better than that. Let's do that. Let's do that. That's all free. Let's use all the free stuff that we can. Let's see if we can pull something better. Okay, that is an assortment. I don't want to use 2 points here. I mean, I want to use that thing, but I can't. I really just... I want to make as much damage as possible. So I want to save that one. Okay. Let's do that one. 2 more points to make. Now I have 3 points. This is ridiculous. Anything that costs 3 to use. Anything else that costs. Let's get rid of that. Come on. Give me a card that costs something. Do I have anything that's good to get rid of? Okay. Use you. Come on, give me something that actually costs. Oh. Nope, nope, nope. So I have 2 cards I can use. That would be 9. How sad. 3 in damage, 6 in stagger. Apply armor break equal to empowerment stack. So that's that. And then let's gouge you. So we add rupture. And he's unfortunately gonna get up now. Okay, he has the anger face. $13. It's a free one. He can at least take a hit. I'm going for a ballast shot here. One ballast shot. Coming. That increases the anger. Then do a disruption here. Increases the anger too, but at least it can't really hurt me. Oh, he took all of his. Okay. Still a 10. There we go. Let's go ahead and good choices here. Yeah, that's gonna hurt. If I do damage to him, this one increases. When that hits over 25, then it's gonna increase whatever that one goes up. So that's why I'm trying to bring down, and unfortunately you can't stagger. Stagger doesn't work here. He has a face on us as immunity to stagger, so it's just all other kind of raw damage. But the more raw damage you add, the more, yeah, as you can see, it's a dilemma. He doesn't take damage during the auto attack phase, so you have to survive somehow the auto attacks. Not do damage now here. I mean, I can do some damage, but I can only do damage up to 25, or else he starts. So let's add health there, and let's do 12. I can't do any more damage. Okay, I'm just gonna have to take it on the chin. Okay, that took his. There we go. There we go. Yep. I can enfeeble him at least. Oh no, enfeebling also increases because of that damage. Oh, damn, it counts as damage. That's ridiculous. That's not what I wanted. So can I shadow back? Shadow back that guy. And just put all my... Because he's gonna die anyway. He's gonna die. And just power up this guy as much as possible. Because once this phase turns... Yeah, this is bad. He's gonna die. Oh, that wasn't much of feebling. That didn't do anything at all. Now next time it's gonna be 30. Yeah. There's not much I can do. He's immune. Oh, now he's immune to debuffs. So now we can start hurting him. But he's then immune to debuffs instead. And I, again, do not have good attacks. He's not gonna do his agonizing howl. So we can blast wave him. But I'm gonna have to do raw damage. As you saw. He pretty much ignores raw damage. I think I can make this. I'll do my best. Already lost the tank. Okay, he's gonna go after him. He can take a couple of hits. He can take a couple of hits. So that's okay. He can take a couple of hits. He's immune to debuffs. And stagger. So that one would be worthless. That one is maximized. Let's put on him. Okay. We're going to put them up here. He's going to attack 3 times with that thing. So we are going to try to maximize getting in as many hits as possible. All the rupture damage is not... I can't do any rupture damage here. Okay. Yep. Can only take one more hit to those. Oh, I staggered him. Good. Now, let's hit him with everything we can. Want to keep that one. Oh no, he turned already. That was the stupid anger face. Yeah. I have a feeling this is done. Yeah. Yeah, it is. I don't see how I can build that up that quickly. I don't have any of the good fat hits. The more I beat on him, the more that's gonna build up. So there's 30 next time. I'm not getting good stuff. Yep, he's gone. That was that. Now 15 on the back row. Yeah, this. And that's immune to stagger, yeah. Yep. It was not a good round. Yep, he's gone. It's too much to go. I can't really do anything. Yeah. Staggered him again, but I don't have any good hits. He's gonna pop up again. Yeah. I'm gonna have to somehow hit him with some really gnarly hits, and I don't have good stuff with that guy. I don't have those big, nasty hits. You can build up good stuff, but much of it gets negated by stuff like that. Like, yeah, it's... Yeah. That's it. One hit, and that is the angry face. Not getting any good stuff. Oh man. 32 hit points. Come on, man. Yeah, I'm doing my best here. Oh, come on, Riptide. Come on. Yeah, that's because of that armor. And now it's gonna wither me. Yeah. Oh, what? He got staggered? No. Really? 1 hit point. Come on. Oh my god. That was the most brutal fight ever. Wow. Okay. That was down to the last hit point. That was brutal. I really did not have a good deck. Normally, it's done sooner than that if you had a good deck with some really nasty, juicy hits. And I couldn't even tank him. He was just constantly. So there you have it. 1472. It's not the best score that I've gotten. I think it's something like 1650, 1660. This is not a good score. Which pretty much, I mean, I was struggling the whole time, even against smaller enemies all the way until end. Things that I didn't record. It was just a struggle bus. It was constantly getting beat up because I couldn't get the good cards out. And I was down to 4 hit points. Lord. I didn't even have that many techs. Normally I have more than that. And they're not even that good. Some of that actually helped. Like discarding for favor and gain. Yeah, that helped. But... Lord. That was the closest fight I have ever gotten into. It's either a loss or something that really, is over fairly quickly because I have a good combination of cards and guys. This was the B team pulling off the saddest fight ever. We'll see when another major update comes out how they're going to rebalance this and adding more layers of difficulty and more fights if you can get into, so you at least have a decent amount of perks on these units. Dive Suit didn't do so well. He was the first to go. Navigator, one that I generally don't use this late. I usually have a called Purifier, I think. Yeah, Purifier. I usually have one of those for a little bit of healing and some buffs. Zealot, I use that a lot. Bell Maiden for sure. Maybe a Knight. But the Dive Suit, biggest disappointment. He could not handle it. See, he doesn't really have that much DPS, and it's very expensive. And I could never get to use those rockets because I could not build up enough of that barrier to really hit him hard. And especially when it started out with 99 in armor. When it starts out with a 9 in armor, good lord, you are going to struggle if you have anything with a big hit. Because it's just going to negate it. There are a couple of things like the arbalest that can circumvent that. Or in the case that I had gotten the mark so I can hit weak spots. I don't. Yeah, it will still be negated by that armor block, I think. But anyway, an arbalest with the one that ignores armor, maybe. Maybe I have to go with a really cheap group, trooper. Yeah, maybe. Maybe that's the way to do it. Or maybe there is actually a perk that do something like that. But there you have it. An end fight that was the most grueling one that I have played, down to the last hit points between them. And there you go. We'll see what happens in the major update. We'll see what they do with it. That was a lot of different cards. And here are some other cards that I found but never got. Um, there are a few of them, if you look, that are pretty decent. The choices I made to not pick them, maybe I should have picked that the bigger ones, but I just wanted to have a decent blend of cards. I just didn't have good options. Um, in those cases, sometimes you always get that really crappy card and the really good card, and it's just the easiest choice ever. Or you pick two, and you know you're kind of short on certain aspect of cards, so you made a bad choice, right? In this case, I loaded up too many of those rockets, and I really never got to use it. When in reality, I probably needed more feebles, more of that nature that could really have dragged down his firepower even more. Or even those lantern cards with a massive stagger and massive damage. So I could really have hit him when he didn't have that big shield, when he didn't have that thing that removes the buffs. But Celebi, I won. That's all that matters, right? In the next cycle, I would have been able to revive some dudes and hopefully heal them up and move on. So you have a terrific day and terrific life. Great weekend upcoming. Awesome summer. Strange times. I hope they work out for you. And as I always say, adieu.